about as well is when we say, oh, you need to speak with a native speaker. Well, a native speaker from where? A native speaker at what level? A native speaker with what educational or cultural background? You know, we kind of have this archetype of what a native speaker is, what a native speaker looks like, sounds like. And it's kind of, it really defeats the purpose of learning and connecting and being able to belong. So that's more or less the reason why I feel I need to stand against this. I think you hit on a key point, which is privilege. So it is a huge privilege to be able to walk into an industry and assume the role of a teacher without any real training, without any real experience. That is a huge privilege because you can't do that in every industry. And I think people who are like holding on for dear life to not talk about these things, you know, it's a privilege to be able to ignore certain things, right? Like students can't ignore native speakerism. Like they can't. It's their reality, you know, as well as, you know, non-native speaker teachers and students alike. So to be able to say, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm gonna just, you know, leave it aside. It is exercising a privilege because you don't have to deal with it. It doesn't affect you in the same way. So you can just move on, you know, or you know, pretend it's not happening.
Microaggressions, right? And
Exactly.
some teachers feel totally attacked when they get this question, and others think, well, it's pure, genuine curiosity. I think with 13, 14 years in ELT now, I can distinguish when it comes from a point of view or, okay, where are you from? Are you apt to teach? And when it's, what is your really, you know, cultural background? I'd like to know more about you, you know, and that I think is a totally different discourse. But I think it comes with experience, the idea of, or, you know, the perception of, is this a microaggression? Is this trying to, is my answer going to validate what I'm going to say next? Or, you know, or is it going to validate me, is it going to validate me in the eyes of the person I'm speaking to?
I had a student once who, so he had, I was working for it was like a language service, and it was myself and another teacher who were working with this student. One teacher was from South Africa. He was white, blonde with blue eyes. I was from Canada. I'm a Black woman, black hair, brown eyes, all of that. And he was like, I feel like you guys mixed up your nationalities. He should be from Canada and you should be from South Africa. And I was just like,
wow. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I was just like, do you not have books here? Do you not have internet access? Do you not, that's not how it works. Not everybody's accent is desirable. You know, we don't really speak about, not to me, but I mean in society.
I have a question though, because you know a lot about this. So out of what makes an accent desirable?
Right? I know a lot about this. What makes an accent desirable? I think one that has power.
I was going to say the same word, and one that is associated with power. I'm sure people who are watching this are aware of what colonialism is, but how does it still play out? Like, how is it such a current thing, even though, you know, we are past colonial times? Why is it still so, you know, why is it so present within our field even now?
I think because it was a way to usurp and maintain power. Like, that's been a theme throughout this talk, power. And I think something that's important for teachers to understand when they're teaching this language is its history and the history of its teaching as well. Language was an important tool, a part of colonial regimes, and it was one that a lot of times it served to destroy the culture of the indigenous people that were being colonized, no matter where it was. It was a way to exclude people from accessing certain information, services, opportunities. And it definitely was not created for people to be able to own the language, feel a part of it. A lot of times it was forced on people, and people had to give up their own culture to use that. And that kind of echoes and reverberates into what we're doing.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily obvious, but when you analyze the effects, it's having the same effect. People do want to give up their culture. They do want to give up their accent. They want to give up parts of their identity in order to be able to use the language. Sometimes they're asked to do that. Like you were as well, as a teacher, asked not to mention, your origins.
Mhm.
So